All right, welcome back, friends. We're going to do our weekly roundup on coronavirus in Columbus. I'm staying at home, but in my head, I'm at the beach. I'm learning to play with the Zoom backgrounds. I know we're into the third week, towards the end of the third week of these stay-at-home guidelines, and I know it's getting tiring. But we are seeing an impact. The latest modeling from the Ohio Department of Health shows significantly lower numbers than we were expecting, which last week the model showed we were going to expect about 10,000 new cases a day at the peak. At this point now, they're thinking it might be closer to 1,600 new cases a day in Ohio, which is still a lot, but it's so much better. And as usual, I want to have somebody who knows a little bit more about what's going on in the city than I do. So please welcome back Columbus City Council President Shannon Hardin. Welcome, Shannon.
Hey, Rock Doc. Thanks for having me back. Happy Friday.
Hey, happy Friday. Happy birthday. It was your birthday on Tuesday. We had a virtual pizza party across the city.
It was pretty cool. Like, folks really did go out or order their pizzas in, and hopefully we helped a few small businesses. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and we, of course, encourage shopping local pizza shops.
Yeah, so we're going to do more of that.
Yeah, me and my friend Jess Hogan a couple years ago started doing a pizza tour of Columbus. We might have to do that virtually now because we're both, kind of stuck at home. So Jess, hit me up. Let's do this again. You are a fan of Donato's.
I'm a huge fan of Donato's, and that's why I have what is my staff today told me quarantine pounds. I've gained quarantine pounds. I posted a video today, and I wish we could have edited it a little bit. It's getting bad in here, but I'm working out. I am working out at home, so I don't know what is really, Well,
I think we're probably not all making the best food choices either, because I have definitely got quarantine pounds going on. I've also got quarantine hair. I was telling you, my staff, I gave them the option of I was either with a Flowbee or a do-rag, and they chose do-rag. So if you see me rocking this, yeah. So what's the latest? Let's get to business. What's the latest in the city?
So I again, we usually tape these podcasts right after I get my briefings. I get a briefing every other day from the health commissioner. And so the latest is in the state of Ohio has 5,512 cases, 213 deaths. The county has 875 cases and 14 deaths total. And the jurisdiction, the city of Columbus and Worthington, we have 567 cases and 8 deaths just for Columbus. And so my last briefing was on Wednesday. This is Friday. The 567 number in terms of confirmed cases is an increase of 70 folks in that time period. And so we're still seeing folks acquiring, of course. And still too, even with the greater projections, the projections that show that what we are doing is working, and it is working. And so we have to continue to do that. We do still have to keep in the back of our mind that we're not doing testing at the rate that would show true numbers. And so that's still a concern of mine and a lot of us as we navigate our way through this, and as we continue to see better numbers, and truthfully, as we go through and over our curve, I think, and folks will want to start the conversation of how do we open back up. I still believe that testing will be critically important to that conversation.
Yeah, I think it's going to be testing. I think really antibody testing as well is going to be really, really important for us to get that rolled out. But we still haven't hit our surge, so we still have to.
No.
And we can always, if we open up too early, we can end up causing us another bump, so we have
we talked about that today on our call. How do we mitigate the second or even a third flare up of this? And I think that a lot of folks are anticipating that when we do open up, we will have another flare up. And so we gotta be careful and not rush to do what we all want to do. And that brings me to like this weekend. Like, I'm a pretty devout Christian, and today is Good Friday, and it's, I think this is not just a Black thing, but like in most, Easter Sunday, you celebrate after church with a big family dinner.
Yeah.
We can't do that this year. And we should not do that this year, as we are still under the stay-at-home guidelines. So, for my family, we're going to do something a little different. We are kind of separating up the meal, and different households are cooking different parts of the meal. So I'm cooking the meat, the fried chicken, and the ham, and it will be delivered to the different houses. So we will all be eating the same Easter dinner, but we'll be doing it separately. And those are kind of things that we're going to call on folks to. We understand how important and how not normal, how not right this is, and how normal these circumstances are. But it is working. It is working. And, we're in the middle of Passover too. And so I've seen a lot of Seders that have been done on Zoom. It's those things that are literally going to save lives as we go through these religious holidays and these occurrences where we want to be together.
Right. And again, like you mentioned, doing Zoom, figuring out ways to get around it. This is going to be our new normal for a while. And things, we also learn things and how these will have long-term impacts as well, and how we interact. But everybody's doing, I think, in Ohio especially, we're doing a great job, and everybody needs to be commended. I know we're getting a little stir crazy. One of the things that has come up is, and one of my friends said the other day, she was walking down the street. She lives over near campus, and there was a group of younger folks. We don't have the numbers this week as far as in Columbus, but last week there's a 20 to 29 year age range. They were making up over half the cases that were of confirmed positive cases in the city of Columbus and Worthington. But she said they were playing beer pong. There's a group of young folks playing beer pong, and somebody said something, and the cops just drove on by. The cops were right there. They were doing their normal patrol, didn't say anything, and somebody did say something as they drove by, and the person said, "Hey, come here and say it to my face," in a threatening manner. But what can we do if we see groups of people, having, parties or cookouts or,
So I've gotten this question a lot, and what I would first encourage folks to do is, a lot of this is about practicing these measures ourselves, and having as much influence over the folks that we can influence directly. So because you got to remember, this is a stay-at-home order, and we as a city, state, and federally, I haven't seen too many places where folks are out actively policing and arresting folks for breaking this. So it really is about creating that social behavior. And so the first thing that I do is I take control over the folks that literally will listen to me 100%, which is my family. And it's not 100%, but I have 12 cousins that are 20 through 32, 33 years old. We're on a group chat, and my daily thing is making sure that for those 12 folks that are directly under me, that I'm looking out for them and really pushing that message. And I think that if we're all doing that within our circles, then we're even catching our knucklehead cousins who are at the beer pong. So that's the first thing. Secondly, in terms of how I don't encourage folks to go up and try to break up those type of parties. One, especially if they're drinking, they're probably a little, they're going to be acting a little crazier than they may if they weren't inebriated. And we don't want to put you in a place where you're one, close to somebody who's spreading the germs, but two, just putting you in an unsafe environment. So what I would encourage folks to do is to call the police non-emergency line and just report it and what the address is. And I think the number is 645-4545. And we will deal with it on that side. And what we do is we just go out and do friendly engagements with those folks and tell them about the order and remind folks. But again, this is about social behavior. I mean, we will defeat this thing one house at a time, one person at a time. And so, it's not comforting when you see that happening, but that is even more reason why, for the folks who are listening, we do need to stay in the house still, and we do need to wear our face mask when we go out because everybody is not doing it.
And if it's a business that is a non-essential business that's open, if somebody has a bar that's open, trying to be sneaky, I think the other day, the virtual town halls they're doing, I think every Tuesday at 4:00.
Yep.
Online. They had mentioned you could call 311 because that's more of the health department's police.
Yeah, that was part of the briefing today too. I did not write down those numbers, but we are actively, the city attorney, the police, and the health department are going out to businesses. I hear the one thing I do remember from my call half an hour ago was that they had done 75 or so of those visits in the last week, and that we are going to do one cease and desist to a business in Columbus today for not complying. So most of them are friendly reminders, check-ins to make sure that if you are open as an essential business, that you're complying with the social distancing recommendations. All the grocery stores that I have been to over the last 2 weeks have now changed and either have the plexiglass up and certainly have spacing markers up. And so those are all good things.
And some of them are doing the one-way aisles too.
That's I think is brilliant, and I haven't seen that yet at my Kroger's, but I'm wearing my mask.
So one other thing that has come up, and again, I think a lot of times when we have these crises, it shows us things in society that we may need to work on, or makes them a little bit more glaring. When we look at Chicago and we look at Louisiana, the population in Chicago is about 30% African American. However, the percentage of cases, or at least hospitalizations, is about 70% African American, and it's something similar like that in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. Do we have any numbers in Columbus? And
yeah, so I put out an article today in the City Council Chamber Mail, and it's titled "COVID-19 Does Discriminate, and We Need Solidarity Now More Than Ever." And what I mean by that is that in Columbus, and this is the numbers from Wednesday, and I did not get the ethnic data today. However, real quick plug, starting today at 2:30 on the Columbus Health website, we are going to do breakdowns every Friday of the race and ethnicity data so that folks can have that information as we move forward. But as of Wednesday, 28% of the cases, the folks who had contracted confirmed cases, were African American. However, nearly 40% of those folks who have been hospitalized because of COVID are African American, which shows that the underlying health disparities that we had always been talking about around diabetes, obesity,
and access to care.
And certainly access to care.
That's a bigger
access to care is having a real impact on how folks are responding when they contract the virus,
right.
Leading to higher death rates in some of these other communities. And so we have to acknowledge that, be aware of that, talk about it more, and then truthfully create policies and understand that these things are connected to policies that we have shied away from in the past. And you're 100% right, which is high quality access to healthcare for all of our citizens. Because again, if it's spreading in the African American community, it won't just stop at the race. It will spread to every other community as well. So we need, this shows that we are all in this together.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that it's unfortunate, but at least this does, put facts. We have actual statistics. We have numbers about things that we've been saying for a long time, and hopefully we can, once we get through this, we can use what we've learned to improve everybody's life, going forward. So it's a mixed blessing, but hopefully, we don't forget this going forward, and we start looking at changes that we need to make to healthcare in general.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything else you can think of?
It was just one other thing that I thought of in the article that I wrote today. Really, it was spurred by an article that a friend of mine, a Columbus guy, Near East Sider, wrote a piece about face mask and how as an African American,
yes. Let's talk about that.
Folks feel uncomfortable. His name is Aaron Thomas. He wrote a piece and it got published this week in the Boston Globe. Then the Guardian picked it up, and it went around the country because I think that it captured the way that many African Americans, especially Black young males, think, or thought when we heard this recommendation now to wear face mask or even bandanas into grocery stores and places. And, it really did start a conversation internally for us, for a lot of folks of color and marginalized communities around the health scare of contracting coronavirus versus the stigma of being Black in America, and and needing to think about your health that way as well.
Yeah, so somebody doesn't assume that you're in there trying to rob them or
Certainly.
Yeah, and that's a tough situation.
It really is. And so, I posted about it. I am still encouraging folks to wear face masks, but I am also encouraging the broader community to be aware that these stigmas are out there. And when we talk about being kinder now and being more open now, it's these types of things and understanding that people are dealing with this from many different coming from many different backgrounds and past um, uh, uh, discriminations. And so, we just got to be more open and more thoughtful, and really think of ourselves as one now more than ever. But I thought it was a brilliant piece. It's a piece that illuminates just these issues, like you said earlier, that we will have to work on post COVID too, as well. Like these are things that were always there, but sometimes these crises bring them to the forefront.
Yeah, that's a great point. However, as far as masks, we did talk about that last week, that we assumed or we expected
Yeah.
that guidance was going to be coming forward, and it did that day or that afternoon.
Yep.
So when we are in public, especially if we're in the store, we definitely do need to be wearing masks. Just as much to protect, if not more so, to protect other people,
So.
especially when we're, at the stores. We're fortunate to have these folks working in the grocery stores and, pulling our orders if we order online, or restocking the shelves. I think we should be respectful of that. And, I think even in the parks, if you're just walking, it's going to be hard to wear a mask if you're exercising, but if you're just walking around or hanging out, there are, when I walk past on a nice day, walk past Goodale Park, there's plenty of people there, and a lot of them are, not necessarily practicing great social distancing. So in those situations, we need to make that the new normal as well. We're doing a great job, and but we've got this. The surge is coming.
Yeah.
I think the Great Columbus Convention Center is now pretty much built out, ready. I think they have
It
everything
is
ready to go.
They said that so we are at 57 or so, under 60% capacity in the hospitals, which is a good place to be pre-surge. The convention center is ready to go and will be operational within 72 hours of any time we ask it to be now.
Is there any chance we could get a little tour of that next week?
I was thinking the same thing. I've not been in yet, but it's truthfully been because I've not been doing too many public things at all.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming though, it's worth an ask.
Yeah, if we could do that, that'd be great. I think just so people know what that's going to look like, get an idea of how that setup is, because they've done a lot of work. They had to run a lot of wiring and I think some ventilation stuff, and setting up an infrastructure for the computers and the electronic medical records, and try to make sure people don't get sick when they're the healthcare workers. So
it's brilliant work.
The Ohio National Guard has been working their tails off on that, so we're thankful for that. But I would love to get a look at that if we can.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, it is Friday. You've been working hard. I know you're probably still working on the weekends like I am too on things, but it looks like I think I can see some sun peeking out through your window.
It's a little chilly, but the sun is out, and that's okay. So I'm happy.
Well, then I don't want to take up any more of your time if you can get some sunshine. I am going to get back to seeing patients here in a minute. But as always, thank you for your time, Councilman Hardin. We will check back in next week. And have a great Easter, everybody. Have a good Easter. Take care. Enjoy your, video time with your families and church services. And we'll see you back here sometime very, very soon.
Thanks, Rock Doc.
You're welcome.